pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley.
Present.
Isaac Chavez.
Present.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Present.
John Large.
Present.
Robert Stevens.
Present.
Clarence Worthen.
Present.
Eric Woods.
Present.
Okay, next we have the minutes from the April 13th, 2026 regular meeting.
I'll make to approve. Past April 13th, 2026.
I heard Eric first, and I'll give you the second.
Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't even hear him.
Okay, roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, minutes have passed. Next, we have public comments. Did we have anything out there? Nothing? Okay. Next, we have the public hearing on ordinance number 26-10. So I'm going to recess the council meeting at 7:02 and open the public hearing. Did you have anything to say about this? It's an additional appropriation.
This is first reading and public hearing on additional appropriation ordinance number 2610. It is the matching portion of city funds for our Okra grant for comprehensive planning.
And since we're having the public hearing, we could pass first and second, correct?
Yes, you could. Typically for an additional appropriation, you just have to make sure you've got the public hearing and then you can pass it on both if you need to.
Okay, so we could do that. Kimberly, did you have anything you wanted to say about this?
Good evening. I sent you an email last week kind of going over the grant award from Okra. I do, if the council would move forward with this, would like to be able to pass it on first and second reading because I have to get the contract back to Okra or the Office of Community and Rural Affairs by May 31st. So I would like to do it shortly after Memorial Day if possible, just to make sure that they get it in plenty of time. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Kimberly. I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:04 and reopen the council meeting. Next on the agenda, we have ordinance number 26-10.
Do we need a motion on reading by title only? Okay, I move that we read by
Yes.
title only.
Okay,
Second.
roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Additional appropriation ordinance number 26-10.
Then I need a motion, however you would like to proceed with that, whether you want to do first and second or just first.
I'll move to suspend the rules to pass ordinance 2610 on both readings.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens. Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, I'll take the motion then to pass this on first and second reading.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 26-10 passes on first and second reading. So Kimberly, maybe that'll help you then as you do your grant. Thank you. Next, we have ordinance number 26-08.
And this was the one that we were tabling for the time being, and we'll bring it back up in June.
So at this time, we don't have to do anything on that. Okay. Next, we have ordinance number 26-09, and this is on second reading. And this has to do with the NHK annexation.
Right. So this is the final step from the council to approve the voluntary annexation of the NHK facility.
I move passing ordinance number 2609 on second reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Okay, ordinance number 26-09 passes on second reading. Now, does this have to be recorded or? are
Yeah.
we-
So the process is that we will publish it in the newspaper, and then after publication, we'll get it recorded. And then once it is recorded, then it will be in effect. So I will take care of those steps.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. Okay, next we have ordinance 26-11. Do you have the information on that then, Carol?
Yes, this is an additional appropriation ordinance for professional services for the grant writing administration per Kimberly's request. And it's also for improvements at the park TPA basketball courts.
So I was asking for the additional appropriation out of the CCD fund for the basketball courts. They have raised some funds. They have some sponsorships and some people that have made donations, but they're still about $55,000 short. And this would provide us with two regulation size basketball courts with fencing around it and the goalpost. I do know that the parks budget was cut quite a bit. I looked at this year's budget, and we started out with about $100,000 more than we had expected starting out with. So I also checked with Reedy, and it looks like we would have the funding to be able to take care of this additional appropriation. As far as the professional services, Kimberly, that was for Tim Carson.
Yeah, for grant administration
For grant
for the
admin.
Okra grant.
And I will add, this can only be done on first reading since we cannot have the public hearing until June at the earliest, if we do it in a regular meeting.
Can you explain the professional services again? I didn't quite catch what that was for.
Yes. So for the Okra grant that we received for the comprehensive plan, we have to have a grant administrator to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And that would provide funds and a contract for that grant administrator.
In the future, we will not need to go outside of our employees because Kimberly is now qualified to be a grant administrator, but due to the timing of her being appointed as a grant administrator and this particular grant, she's not eligible for this one. But she can do that in the future.
I'll move to read title 2611, ordinance 2611 by title only.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large. Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Additional appropriation ordinance number 26-11.
Could I have a motion to pass that on first reading?
Motion made on first reading. Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 26-11 passes on first reading. Next, number 9 is resolution number 26-07, and at this time, we're not ready for that, I believe. Kimberly, is that correct? Okay. Should we have a motion to table it, or can we just take it to the next?
I think that we tabled it last time, so we can just take it to the next agenda.
Okay, perfect. Okay, next we have resolution number 26-08, and this is a resolution recommending transfer of 201 West Washington Street from the City of Frankfort, Indiana to the City of Frankfort, Indiana Redevelopment Commission.
So this resolution would basically transfer the police department, the old police department, to the redevelopment commission and give them the authority to determine its best use and make decisions regarding its sale or economic development purposes.
It's a resolution, so.
And the Board of Works also passed this evening, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the Board of Works, the
Didn't
Board of
pass it.
Works
We
didn't,
approved-
they
or
approved, the Board of Works
recommended.
approved and recommended that the council
Yes.
transfer it to the redevelopment commission at a previous meeting. This is the resolution actually making that transfer.
And the resolution from the Board of Works that was passed on April 13th is in your packet.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to pass resolution number 2608.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large. Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 26-08 passes. And then what do we do from here? Will you do a deed transfer?
Well, so we don't need
Title?
to, we don't actually have to do a deed because the redevelopment commission's property is also deeded to the city of Frankfort. So it's presently in the city of Frankfort's title. What we do is we do this resolution. This gave them the authority to sign any documents necessary if they wanted to do a sale or a transfer or anything like that. The redevelopment commission at their next meeting will have a similar resolution saying that they're going to accept the transfer. And then once they've completed that resolution, then they can go ahead and move forward. And in this resolution that you just passed, it authorized them to do what they saw fit. So
Thank you. Anybody have any unfinished business tonight?
Yeah, I have a quick note from the Youth Civic Engagement Council. These are a group of students. We started meeting roughly in January. Their names are Elena Hernandez, Emmy Castillo, Brenner. Oh, I can't think of his last name, and Jason Long. Brenner Dome, that's right. Thank you. Who said that?
Me.
Yeah, thank you. And Jason Long. They all had something going on this evening, like sporting events, so they were going to be here. So if we, or I guess what I'm trying to say is they'll be here next meeting to give us an update on the work they've been doing. And they have a lot of good stuff to share for you guys. So no, can't tell you what they've been working on. I'm having them come here and tell you personally, but it's a lot of good stuff.
We're headed in the right direction, right, Isaac?
Yes.
Gonna get this taken care of. So good. Okay, next we have new business. And this evening we have with us Laura Archibald is going to talk to us about the opioid settlement.
Thank you.
So this presentation actually is for a full year of recommendations. I'm going to be very honest with you. I took this stuff to the county and somehow I forgot the city last year in the fall. I don't have any excuse except for it was busy in the fall. I don't know. So when we got to the meeting this spring, I realized that I never presented to the city. So this is for fall of last year and spring of this year. I did forget my reading glasses, so bear with me because I am very old and I cannot read my own little tiny font. So in the fall, we had 7 applications. 1 was withdrawn, and that was from Community Corrections, and that's because probation had a program in which they could cover something for corrections. 1 was was delayed until the spring cycle so that we could get some further data collection. One was a reallocation of funds, which was approved, and 2 recommended for partial funding, 1 denied, and 1 recommended for full funding. In the spring, there were 2 applications received, with 2 being recommended for full funding. The fall application that we received additional data came before us again, and we recommended it for partial funding. And then after the last county commissioners meeting, there was an emergency application applied, and that was just for the county. But in full transparency, we always let you guys know about all of the applications, and that was done as an emergency application by the Opioid Settlement Committee. So the funding recommendation totals for the city are $44,650, with $9,000 of that coming under unrestricted, and $35,650 of that coming from restricted funding. So if you look through your packets, the first one is from Healthy Communities and the Trinity Hope Center. It's the exact same program as we did the year before. It's evidence-based programming. It is for the Be Strong Family Recovery Cafes. There are Teen Recovery Cafe, Women Recovery Cafes, Men Recovery Cafes, and Couple Recovery Cafes. Our goal was to serve I believe it was 1,200 people, and it was 1,201 that we did the last time. So we met that goal. So that will be the same goal, I believe, again. And it was the exact same amount. Actually, it was a little bit lower amount of funding, but that was split equally between the city and county for $16,900 from the city. And that falls under restricted because it's evidence-based programming. The next one's just county, so you can ignore that. Then the next one that came up was Paul Philippi Resource Center. That was the one that came to us originally in the fall, and we asked them to collect data for us for 6 months. The reason we did that is they had asked for some additional funding, but they didn't really have any documentation to show that the transport and the funding they were asking for was tied to people with substance use disorder or co-occurring substance use disorder or mental health. So for 6 months, they collected that data for us. And so we were able to use that data. Well, then when we really looked at it and we studied that, we realized that they didn't collect. They collected where they picked up to, but they didn't collect where they went. So that didn't really help us on knowing if it was in county or out of county. So what we did was we just averaged those trips because the fee for out of county versus in the city are 2 different rates. So we averaged that times the number of trips, and then we divided that between the city and the county. We did feel like this needed to fall in unrestricted because it is a little bit of a gray area in there, but we do feel like that they are very vital to helping our people with substance use disorder getting to the treatment that they need, but also to probation appointments, correction appointments, court, those things. So all of those were things that we felt like transportation was necessary. We do see that these appointments will probably go down because 180 was one of their biggest users of the service, and they have now they now have 2 additional transport vehicles that they did not have during this data collection period. So that was another reason that we felt like partial funding was appropriate for that. So this would be $8,000 from the city, and like I said, we felt like unrestricted was the safe place for that to come from. You can skip the Rossville Middle School. We Care of Clinton County. This is for their transition home. This is a good example of why we get all the people at the table that we get. This started out as a larger ask, and we were able to, because of the people that were at the table, JCAP program at the jail was able to say, we have volunteers who we can come and they can do some of this labor. Probation was able to say, hey, we'll make some of our people come and do some of the work there, and we'll count that as their community service hours. So we were able to lower those labor costs right from the top just by having people at the table. So I thought that was a really great example of why we have this committee. And so the total cost of the project was $213,000 with $163,500 in-kind contribution. They were asking $50,000. And once we got that labor cost down, we were actually recommending $37,500, splitting that between the city and the county, and that can come from restricted because it lines up with those core abatement strategies perfectly. The next one was the Wildcat Solid Waste Management, and this is a vape recycle program. This one really kind of hits home, I feel like, for this city and the county. One, it's protecting our environment. What people don't realize that are in those vapes, beside the liquid that's going into our landfills, there are lithium-ion batteries, and there are lots and lots of reports of trucks catching on fire because we put those vapes in the trucks. They get crushed. What's else in the truck is paper, right? And so it sparks, it causes trucks to catch on fire, and we're putting our city and county workers at a big risk. And so we felt like this was a twofold project that was really protecting our city and county workers, but also protecting our environment. The Wildcat Solid Waste Management could do this for a really reasonable cost. They have just a place that they can take them, where they take them apart and get rid of them environmentally safe. So that would be $1,000 from the city in unrestricted. The next one was the emergency application for the sheriff's office and jail staff, and that would fall on the county. So that part would not be anything funding from the city. You can look at the other requests. You guys we like you to know what the full ask are for transparency reasons. So the next steps would be approved agencies would need to sign agreements. They all are required to submit their data to me, and then I help the city do the required reports, which are due in September of every year. And then we will now meet quarterly to approve applications and do any budget reallocations. And then the next grant application would be the fall grant cycle, and I'll actually remember to come this time. Do you have any questions about any of these recommendations? Do you need the amount? I have.
Do you have the amount?
I have what
Okay.
it was when we met. The city restricted was at $82,038.28, and the unrestricted was $14,228.21, and that was in April.
It shouldn't have changed because there it is.
Yeah, there is more actually.
Seems like
Where
it
is
changes a lot.
Oh, no, there we are. Okay. Up here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we
Yeah.
actually have funding to cover this. So
And these are, that, like I said, that is a year's worth of allocations, actually, not 6 months worth. So
If council approves this tonight, will we be ready to distribute immediately
yeah,
after we do our agreement letters?
Yep.
Okay. Which I still have those, so I can just change the template.
date, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
does anyone have any questions for?
I'm going to put my Healthy Communities hat on for just a minute. I want to tell you guys thank you. There was a huge sewer issue in our backyard, and I just want to tell you that your departments did an amazing job, and they communicated with us well. And it was not a good situation for anybody, but they were very helpful and very kind, and I appreciated it very much. And I know you always get people in here complaining, so I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, they made the best out of a bad situation for everybody, and you don't hear enough good. And I want to say thank you for the street department and the FPD, and to Mayor Sheets for their help with Walk to School Day and the 5K. Those are big events. 250 kids walk into school at one time. Is you got to worry about their safety, and between 650 and 700 people at the 5K on Saturday walking, and they just did an amazing job of pitching in and helping, and we do appreciate it. So thank you very much. And I know sometimes you never hear the good stuff, so I wanted to make sure you hear the good stuff too. So thank you.
Thank you, Laura. We appreciate it. And we appreciate healthy communities. They do a lot for our community. Thank you. So do we want to make a motion?
I move we approve opioid settlement committee recommendations.
Second.
I think I heard Councilman Stevens,
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley,
Aye.
Isaac Chavez, Taylor Crenshaw,
Aye.
John Large, Robert Stevens,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Okay. Next we have, do you want to introduce him, Brian? Sure, Brian. Yeah, come on, Brian.
Next, we have Patrick Connor with Purdue LTAP to talk about wheel tax.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mayor and Council, for having me
Thank
today.
you.
As Brian said, my name is Pat Connor. I'm with the Indiana LTAP program at Purdue University. And the LTAP stands for Local Technical Assistance Program. So we're an extension program for civil engineering. So we provide research and technical resources and training for our city street departments, county highway departments, local elected officials, everybody involved in our local transportation planning, processing, planning. I said planning already. I have a few handouts I brought. I'll just pass those around if you don't mind. And I have about an hour-long presentation, not quite an hour-long presentation, but we do training on this and talk about what the wheel tax is, excise surtax, what it means, how to estimate the revenues, how to use the revenues, and all the nuances to it. But trying to keep things condensed a little bit for tonight. If there's further questions, happy to come back, happy to help. I go around the state giving this training all around the state. I was in the city of Bedford a couple weeks ago, and I live in Rossville. So it was a great drive down the road for me to get here, except for all the road closures trying to get down here. But I got to learn more of the streets. But to keep things, just to keep it simple, I guess. Oh, the other thing I always like to mention is that I'm not here to advocate one way or another for this. I am a completely neutral bystander to this, and my goal is to have the council and the mayor and everybody involved that's going to be possibly adopting this ordinance, just all the best information they can to have an informed decision. So there's no skin in the game for me. I've been to some of these meetings and people accuse me of well, you're here because you get more money. If we adopt this, that's not the case at all. So I just want to throw that out there. So basically and if you look on those papers, you'll see the word LOHUT. And if you went through the full presentation, you understand we kind of changed it to local option highway user tax in our office 20 some years ago. Professor at Purdue coined that term. So it's kind of stuck in our office. But what it is a wheel tax and excise surtax are actually two different ordinances, two different taxes. So instead of keep saying wheel tax and excise surtax, we call it LOHUT. So just to clarify there. But what it is, it's just a registration fee that you pay on your vehicles. The excise surtax is your cars, your trucks less than, I want to say 11,000 pounds, your trailers, lightweight trailers, motorcycles, mopeds, and those types of vehicles. And then the wheel tax is your semi-trucks, semi-trailers, heavier pickup trucks, greater than 11,000 pounds. So every vehicle in the county pays, or in the city, would pay either the wheel tax and excise surtax, or the excise surtax. You don't pay both of them. It's based on vehicle classification. The minimum is $7.50 for the excise surtax. That's your cars again. Maximum is $25 for municipalities, and then the wheel tax, the minimum is $5 and a maximum of $40. The requirement from statute to and be able to adopt it is to have an approved asset management plan, which the city of Frankfort does. So all meet those requirements. But a couple of other notes to point out. Right now, the county has a wheel tax and excise surtax, so everybody in the city of Frankfort is already paying the wheel tax and excise surtax. Their rates are listed, as you see on the document there, $25 and $40, which would be the maximum for the municipalities. Except for I made one clerical mistake on there when I was putting this together this morning. I believe their mopeds or motor-driven cycles are $10 and the motorcycles are $25. So that the bottom dollar would change a couple $1,000s from that, but it kind of gives you still gives you a good estimate and ballpark of what that estimated revenue would be. The other thing to point out, Brian and I talked last fall about coming in here and giving this presentation to you, and I'm glad I didn't, because Senate Enrolled Act 179 this last year changed how the municipal wheel tax and county wheel tax works together. Before this year, if the county and municipality in that county had the wheel tax, the residents would pay, in that municipality would pay both the county wheel tax and the municipal wheel tax. So like Fort Wayne is a good example. They were one of the first cities to adopt a wheel tax when they made that code change back in 2016. And so the residents in Allen County has a wheel tax, City of Fort Wayne has a wheel tax, so those residents pay both of them. Senate Enrolled Act 179, we say unstacked them. So going forward, any new ordinances from today going forward, they would be unstacked. So what that would mean is the residents of Frankfort would pay the wheel tax and excise surtax, and that money would go directly to the city, and they wouldn't pay the county wheel tax. So they wouldn't be stacked anymore. What other notes I have on here? The revenues I showed you, we got the estimates from the B&V. That's 2023 data, so it's not the most current data, but it doesn't really change that much year to year, maybe 1% or 2%, go up or down. So it's still pretty reflective. House Enrolled Act 1461 last year, where this became more of a hot topic, is that they changed the Community Crossings Matching Grant Program to where before it was about a $250 million a year grant program, and you could apply up for $1 million or $1.5 million, depending on what NDOT said that year. Now it's back at $1 million. And so almost every community, there was enough money kind of go around to all the applicants in that program. And now they've made it a $100 million a year program. So it's much more competitive. This last fall was the first time they saw this reduced amount. And about a third, less than half, maybe a third of the applicants got awarded the money. So it's much more competitive. But what they did with that additional money is kind of, well, first of all, they gave $50 million to Indianapolis if they can match it with $50 million. And there's some other monies in there that goes towards railroad tracks and a couple other state programs. But the bulk of the rest of that money goes to what they call the new lane mile direct distribution. So if you have the wheel tax and excise surtax, every year you'd get a direct distribution without having to apply for it from the Community Crossings Matching Grant Program. On this other form, I estimated what that would be for this next year. They're estimating, there's a couple moving parts to this, and it's changed from last year, but what they're estimating right now for next year would be about $80 to $90 million in that lane mile direct distribution, which would mean somewhere between $67,000 to $97,000 for the city of Frankfort based on their lane mile data. What else do I have on here? I would also recommend, last thing I have on here, I recommend coordinating your ordinance with the B&V to make sure that all the vehicle types are included. Floyd County last year tried to pass the wheel tax and excise surtax and left off a few vehicle classifications. So it was rejected by the B&V, so they had to go back and adjust it. And all the hot press you get from adopting a wheel tax and having to go through that twice. So it wasn't fun for them. They're happy to review their ordinances ahead of time, make sure that all the vehicles are included in there. And then the other thing I just, talked through this form here that I passed out. The city based on the county wheel tax, the city currently collects about $182,000 a year of that. The way it works, everybody in the county pays. It goes to the county, and then the county distributes it based on a formula. And based on that formula, the city would get about $182,000. If Frankfort adopts it at the same rates as the county, that money would not go through the county. It goes directly into come to the city, and that number would be about $392,000. And then if they adopt the wheel tax, excise surtax, and then, like I said, it would make them eligible for that direct distribution of, say, $75,000 or something like that. Happy to answer any questions if you have any questions on that. I know that was pretty quick, but a lot of information.
So currently we get the 182,000 from the county distribution, but if we do our own, then ours would raise, but then I'm just gonna be honest here.
Yep.
Counties would lower. They
Yep.
would get less tax in.
So when you say yours wouldn't raise, your revenue would raise.
Mhm.
It wouldn't raise the rates on the city residents at all. Yeah, and then it
It's
would
just how
lower.
it's dispersed or
Yep.
how you,
Yeah, because the way the distribution works is that if a county has a population of less than 50,000 people, it goes 80% based on mileage and 20% based on population.
Mhm.
So it more heavily favors the counties, the counties with less than 50,000 people.
And in order for us to adopt the LMDD, we would have to do the wheel tax. Is that correct?
So yes and no. I mistyped that on there this morning. I put that together this morning. Frankfort can't adopt the lane mile direct distribution. I meant to put on there, and you can pencil this in. If Frankfort adopts the wheel tax, they would receive the lane mile direct distribution. So you don't have to apply for it.
Oh,
It would
okay.
come automatically. We work with the Comptroller's Office, State Board of Accounts, and the B&V. B&V tells us who has adopted wheel tax. We say who has the approved asset management plan. And then the comptroller then would just disperse that money June 30th of every
So
year.
it's just as long as we take care of each one of those. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
To clarify with the BMV, when you send the ordinance, that would go to the state BMV?
Correct.
Okay, and then this wouldn't prohibit the city from applying for CCMG. They would just automatically get that LMDD in addition to any CCMG award. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Great question. And just to elaborate a little bit on that, I'm not sure where the city is at and where they apply for community crossing, how much they apply for community crossings. But let's just say NDOT sets that maximum at $1 million like it is right now. Like there's counties out there that could receive over $1 million in the lane mile direct distribution. So they wouldn't be eligible to apply for the grant program because they would hit that max. So if, let's just say City of Frankfort, to make numbers round, receives $100,000 in the lane mile direct distribution, they could apply for $900,000 for the grant program.
Okay.
To
Because
get
currently, was it 450? Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys are, your last round was for 450, is that what you said?
Mhm.
Yeah, so if you're at 450, this would be, then you could still apply for 450 and have an additional $75,000 to $100,000 in that grant program.
Mhm. So I'd also heard at one point that we would not be eligible for CCMG unless we did that, but is that not true?
No, so
Okay.
you can still apply through the more competitive avenue of community crossings, that $100 million without having the wheel tax and excise surtax.
Okay.
The wheel tax and excise surtax just makes you eligible for that direct distribution part of it.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? And it's by September?
Yep.
1st?
So in order for so September 1st is the date to keep in mind for that wheel tax and excise surtax to go in effect January 1st. So in order, because they collect vehicle registrations on a calendar year basis. So in order for it to be set up to start collecting January 1st, you have to have it adopted by September 1st. And that's also the same date that they're saying that you need to have it adopted by in order to receive the lane mile direct distribution. So next year, so June 30th of next year. So if it's after September 1st, then you would be eligible for that next year.
For the
You'd start
following.
collecting the wheel tax the following year, and you'd be eligible for the lane mile direct distribution the following year.
Okay.
Does this require renewal on an annual basis?
The only thing that you'd have to renew, you guys wouldn't have to renew anything, well, is having the approved asset management plan. So every year, we collect all the asset management plans in our office for the Community Crossings Matching Grant Program. So we would work with the state on who has an approved asset management plan or not. So as long as you guys keep submitting your asset management plans, then that's all that you need to do to keep the program going.
Somebody else have any questions? I do appreciate you coming up and going through all the detours and
It's no problem at all.
But this is very informative, and I think if we have we have to make a decision by September 1st if we want it to go into next year is something we needed to know.
Yep.
And I didn't have a clear understanding of how that worked as well,
Yep.
so.
Happy to come back anytime too, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the approval of the CF1s. Do you have those, Carol?
Yes, we have received 2 CF1s. One of them we just received this morning. The first one is for Wesley Manor South Side for a real estate compliance form. And the second is Frito-Lay, which you had already approved their compliance form for their real estate. Now they are asking for their business personal property.
I move to accept CF1s for Frito-Lay and Wesley Manor Southside.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens. Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Okay, those approvals pass. Next, the employee health clinic. Did you want to talk to us about that?
Sure. So as you know, we've been working toward getting a different employee health clinic, and we have an agreement that is from Ascension. This agreement has been approved by the Utility Service Board. It was approved by the Board of Works. Because it's a new contract, we wanted to also have the council approve it. Generally speaking, if the council has budgeted for it, then the Board of Works approves the contract annually. But because it is a new contract, we wanted your approval as well. This contract would provide all of the services that are listed in there. I worked with Cheryl to kind of go back and forth on some of the things that we wanted to make changes to. So I did provide a red line copy which shows the changes that I have recommended. This has not yet gone to Ascension. We wanted to get it through all of our boards, but I do understand based on the communications from Cheryl that we expect that they will have no problem with the changes that we discussed. There is a 3% annual increase instead of a 5%, so that was a change that was made, and then biometric screenings were added as well.
Does anybody have any questions?
Well, to clarify, this change in the clinic will be at less cost than our contract with IU. I mean, it's probably good the council knows that. And we will have additional office hours available with Ascension.
And isn't Clinton Prairie coming on to the plan as well?
That's my
Which that helps.
Yes, I believe that is correct. I don't think they are immediately, but they will at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know the date, though. I'm sorry.
Do we need a motion then probably?
Yes, a motion to approve would be appreciated if the council approves.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
And Mayor, before we go on to the next one, can we go back on the wheel tax? Things get kind of crazy in August with budget season. I assume this would need to be a 2 reading ordinance. Can we look at trying to have something so we can at least discuss it in June?
Okay.
When you say, can we have something, do you want an ordinance to discuss, or what are you hoping for?
I'd say an ordinance because
Okay.
we're going to need. I'd hate to see this jump into August when things get really
Okay.
heated.
Do you want me to have the ordinance through the BMV before the June meeting or after the June meeting?
Explain the difference.
So if I send it through, if I get it prepared and send it through the BMV, then in June it would be ready to pass. Or I can wait and see if you want to move forward with it and then send it through the BMV before the July meeting. It's up to you on when you want me to do that.
Does everybody think?
I think we can wait till July.
And then have second reading in
That gives
August.
plenty of time.
Well, what we want to do is we'd want to get the ordinance in June, discuss it, decide if you want to move forward with it. If you want to move forward with it, then I
Okay.
would send it through the BMV, and then in July we would do first reading, in August we would do second reading.
Okay.
Would be my
Just
recommendation.
make sure then we have that on the agenda to discuss in June.
Absolutely.
Because if we do it, I don't want to miss that September date.
Absolutely. I will put it on my list.
I'm sorry to interrupt there.
No, that's okay. Okay, yeah, we're ready for the American Structure Point contract.
Okay. So for the comprehensive plan, we had a committee meet, and before, as part of the grant application process, we had to kind of have an idea of what company we would want to use for the comprehensive plan so that we could apply for the grant. We previously had a committee get together and did a request for proposals and got those choices, and the committee selected American Structure Point. You have in front of you an agreement with American Structure Point to move forward with the comprehensive plan process. So we are asking for approval of that agreement.
And I do want to make mention that nothing has been done on the comprehensive plan. I think there's some misunderstanding, and some people think that we've already moved forward. We have not. This is only for the funding portion of the comprehensive plan. So, and then once, if that's all done, then we can bring our committee together or go through the city plan. I mean, there's a
Yeah, this-
process by state statute.
Yeah, there's a state statutory process. It needs to go through the City Plan Commission to a degree. There has to be a group of people involved. They have to do public meetings. And the American Structure Point would kind of walk us through that process and make sure that we comply with state statute.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that was clarified. Nothing has been done on the comprehensive plan. I think some people have thought that we've already moved forward to that, and we have not. We're just trying to get the funding in place.
So you need a motion to approve the agreement.
Yes, please.
So made.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens. Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Okay, we have the approval for that then.
Do you want me to go ahead and talk about the grant?
Yes.
Okay. And then the next contract that you have in front of you is the grant administration contract that we briefly discussed earlier. This is for the group to go ahead and administer the Okra grant so that we meet all of the requirements. And they set that up for the city council, so we wanted to bring that before you as well.
I think everyone should have a copy of that, correct?
Yeah, they should actually have a
Red line.
red line version as well.
Yeah, I made some changes to what they proposed.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sorry. Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, we have approval for that as well. Okay, is there any other business? Anybody have anything? Yes?
I just wanted to let you all know that we have just basically finishing up our audit for 24 and 25. Everything appears to have gone very well. They will invite all of you to an exit interview sometime in mid-June. Anyone on council is able to attend, and it will not constitute a quorum because it's a state called meeting. So be on the lookout for that. I'm sure several of you probably got the questionnaires for the audit as well, but it went really well.
Good.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? I'll take the motion.
Motion made.
Second.